Brad Evans and Ryan Horvat on the BetMGM Network.
Tonight, Brad the Big Noise Evans with you. Ryan Horvat in the house on this Tuesday edition of the program. We're going to be doing another 3-point stand. Started the series last night. Started down in the dirty South with the Atlanta Falcons. So we're going to stay down there south of Mason-Dixon line and talk a little Carolina Panthers here momentarily. By the way, if you missed our interview with our guy, Rob Brown, broke down everything Carolina Panthers. He is the expert on that organization. If you missed the interview, I can always go back and listen to it on the BetMGM Tonight podcast. Download it, subscribe, like, wherever you get your podcast, the BetMGM Tonight podcast. Also, friendly reminder, phone lines wide open. You want to talk some fantasy football with us? Of course you do. Maybe some NFL futures, the NBA in betting, the MLB in betting, the NHL also in betting. Dropping the puck and making some bucks. All you got to do is pick up the phone and dial us, fools, at 833-732-3875. 833-732-3875. You can also hit us up on the X or the Twitter at BetMGM Tonight, where we have our pole dancing poll question of the day. And it's asking you this: at their position ADPs, which Carolina Panther turns the biggest profit in fantasy football drafts this season? Out of Bryce Young at quarterback 23, Chuba Hubbard at RB 16, Ted McMillan at wide receiver 26, or Adam Thielen at wide receiver 64. Over 260 votes cast. Make your voice be heard. Exercise your democratic right. Keep the votes a-coming. And also fire off your comments. We're going to read them a little bit later on the show on X at BetMGM Tonight. On X at BetMGM Tonight. Quick scoreboard update. Woo, it is tightened up, son. Right now between the Cleveland Cavaliers and the Indiana Pacers. 106-101. Cleveland hanging on by the hair of their chinny chin chin. As Indiana once again trying to storm back, which they have done in 3 consecutive games. Miles Turner with 21. Naismith with 18. Nembhard with 13. Halliburton with 11. Benedict Mathurin off the pine with 19 points. Meanwhile, the Cavs, 42 big ones from Donovan Mitchell. Really showed up and showed out with no Garland, no Mobley, no Hunter. Jared Allen with 22 and 11. And Max Strus with 18. Sam Merrill with 14 coming off the bench. An absolute dandy going to come down, potentially the bitter end there between the Cleveland Cavaliers up 106 over the Indiana Pacers at 101, 4:24 remaining. I will keep you up to date there. My Cubbies still alive and kicking. Got one man on first base. Nico Horner with a single. 2 out, though, in the bottom of the 6th. They're down 5-3, the San Francisco Giants. So Dunsby Swanson stepping in to the batter's box. 2 for 2 in the night. Man, that guy has been white hot, to say the least, or less, about 10 to 14 days. All right, with that put aside, let's get after it with another 3-point stance.
Horvat are lined up in their 3-point stance to blitz through every NFL team on BetMGM Tonight.
Oh, look at that nasty new intro to the 3-point stance. Again, we started the series last time with the Atlanta Falcons. We're going to go division by division, doing a team a day. Today's team is down in Charlotte. The artists I called the Hello Kitties of Charlotte, but they're not going to be really made fun of this year. Could surprise some people. So let's break things down from a fantasy football perspective. We'll do a little prop stop and a team lean over under on wins. Let's start with the fantasy side of things. We pulled the ADPs for the best ball 10s. And I'm going to ask you a simple question based on the average draft position, whether that player is overvalued, undervalued, or properly valued. And first man up is Chuba Hubbard. The running back, fine season last year, 55.51 is the current average draft position. And at point PPR leagues, they're the best ball 10s. That is RB16. So Horvat, is Hubbard overvalued, undervalued, or properly valued?
I'm going to say slightly undervalued, actually. I was a huge fan last year, man. I have him on a couple of rosters. He actually saved one of my seasons last year for me. Jonathan Brooks, 2 knee injuries, really unfortunate. So they go out and they bring in Trevor Etienne. So it doesn't really scare me a whole lot. Still a young player. They also bring in, though, Rico Dowdle. But I still think that Chuba's going to be the number 1 back, man. Last year, even with some injuries and a bad offensive line, rushed for 1,195 yards on 250 carries, had double-digit touchdowns, averaged almost 5 yards per carry, 4.8 to be exact. And also, you could use him as a pass catcher. Caught 43 of 54 targets for $171 and a touchdown as well. And that was on an offense, Brad, that was 29th in yards per game. With Tet McMillan and all these weapons now, and Bryce hopefully taking that leap, hopefully the offense could at least be top 20, and I think that benefits him as well. So I think slightly undervalued. I'd have him closer to like running back 12 or 13 still.
Yeah, I think he's properly valued right there at RB16. I think I got him at like an RB15 in my ranks. I mean, Rico Dowdle Wilson playing him at times, but, it's not going to really eat too vigorously into that workload. Mike Clay's got a projected in 14 games played, mind you, 239 attempts, 1,063 rush yards, 7 rushing touchdowns, 40 receptions, 234 receiving yards, and a receiving touchdown. That is RB19. I think Clay is under-projecting him a little bit. Again, I think he's going to be right around the top 15-ish. Overall, a guy running behind the 7th best run-blocking offensive line, according to Pro Football Focus last year. He finished number 8 in yak per attempt at 3.46. He was number 11 in total missed tackles forced with 50, number 14 in total yards created, seeing 77.9% of the opportunity share. So, again, properly valued. I think he's going to be a firm premium RB2 in 12-team half-point PPR leagues. All right, let's move on to Tet McMillan. Right now in the ADP market, 87.60 overall, wide receiver 26. So for the rookie out of U of A, that's Arizona, McMillan, is he going to make you some money? Is he overvalued, undervalued, or properly valued at WR26, Horvey?
I'll say properly valued for right now, though. But, man, I'm hoping to get my hands on him in my next Dynasty League. I'm a big fan. I went back and looked at his 2023 numbers rather than last year because the quarterback for Arizona, Noah Fafita, really struggled. They had a new play caller, an entire new coaching staff. So I went back and watched 2 years ago when they were, one of the better offenses in the country, the final 8-9 games of the season. He had 17 contested catches that year, second among all receivers, next to only Rome Odunze, man. And he's 6'4". He's going to catch touchdown passes. He's going to be a red zone weapon. Only Malik Neighbors and Rome Odunze finished with more receiving yards than he did in 2023. He had 1,300 receiving yards. I think he's going to be an absolute stud. So right now I'll say properly rated, but I think he could have a huge year, kind of like Malik Neighbors did last year as a rookie.
Yeah, I think he's probably valued. A premium wide receiver 3 in 12-team fantasy drafts. That feels about right. Mike Clay is kind of projected for 73 catches, 969 yards, and 6 touchdowns. That's a wide receiver 27. So right there, really pretty much at his ADP. You're right. I love the size. I love the separation skills, and the contested catch rate is off the charts. So McMillan, I think, is a real deal Holyfield. Wide receiver 3 on the high end for me. So, again, properly valued. What about Adam Thielen? 176.31 is ADP. So get him there in the beer fuzzy hours of your draft at wide receiver 64. Overvalued, undervalued, or properly valued?
I'll say properly valued, right? Like, he's not getting any younger, man, but injuries do happen. I think he could be a reliable fantasy option, right? Especially in, like, PPR formats. I don't think he's going anywhere. Now, luckily, like if you're a Carolina fan, no longer is he wide receiver number 1. I don't even think he's going to be top 3 in targets. But if you're really desperate, I think you could do worse. I worry, man, because especially with wide receivers, at 33, 34 years old, when that drop-off comes, it could come really quickly like we've seen before. So I'll say, I'll say properly valued for where he's at right now, though.
I think he's slightly undervalued, honestly. I know he's long in the tooth, but a guy who's come out and said this is likely going to be his last hurrah, so he's going to, put it on the line and leave it there on the field. Mike Clay is kind of projected for 100 targets, 75 receptions, 704 yards, and 4 touchdowns. That's wide receiver 48. That's rather bullish. Now, I think he's going to be somewhere in the 50s. Overall, I mean, you look at some of the secondary analytics. Some were not that great. Some were pretty damn good. He was number 21 in fantasy EPA. That was impressive. Number 5 in fantasy points per route. And when targeted by Bryce Young had a 107.9 passer rating when lining up Adam Thielen there in the crosshair. So, again, a fine bench wide receiver. Will be able to fill some of the injury gaps over the bye weeks as like your wide receiver 5. Totally down with that. So I'm going to say undervalued at wide receiver 64. All right, let's go to prop stop. Let's go in and focus on Bryce Young. Over under 17.5 passing touchdowns. The over a minus 120, the under a minus 110. We had Rob Brown on earlier, and he is way over. Are you in agreement on Bryce Young?
I'm over as well. I think he throws at least 19 to 20 touchdown passes, and that might even be selling him short, right? He obviously made leaps and bounds last year after being benched for the second consecutive season. He's still really young. He was always going to be a project, but even last year finished with 15 touchdown passes after being benched. In the last 4 or 5 games of the season, he was pushing the ball down the field. He can make the throws, man, and you bring in another weapon. Now, again, no longer is Adam Thielen wide receiver 1 or 2. Leggett gets to go back to being what he was drafted to be, more of a 2 or a 3 or a slot receiver. I would go over, man. I think that number's a little short. I think he could throw 20 touchdown passes, so I'd go over on Bryce Young.
Over, way over. I think he's going to be in the 21 to 24 passing touchdowns range. I think you're going to see some leap in his overall production in his season upcoming this fall. Mike Clay, 15 games played, he's got it for 20 passing touchdowns. He's got it for 23 in total, 3 coming there on the ground. Remember, 15 touchdowns, just 14 games last year. Quite respectable. Number 17 in red zone completion percentage. Number 18 in deep ball completion percentage. You add Ted McMillan. Again, that long drink, 6 out like a sore thumb in coverage. And that D, that weak-ass D. Is quite supportive because it's going to push him into some high volume situations where he can maybe clean up once again in garbage time. So, I like Bryce Young quite a bit. I'm going to take the over all diggity day long on 17.5 passing touchdowns. What about Ted McMillan? Over under 800.5 receiving yards, minus 115 either way.
I lean over, man. Last year, granted it's college, he had 26 slot catches, but he was a monster on these deep catches. He had 12, tied for 21st. And again, the quarterback play wasn't great. Contested catches, he was top 25 in the country. Broken tackles, average depth of target. All the numbers pretty good. I think he's 1,000. That's a lot for. I'll say I'd go over. I'd say 850 to 1,000 receiving yards as a rookie though for Ted McMillan.
I think he could easily flirt with 1,000 receiving yards.
Too.
Again, you have an unsupportive defense, which is actually quite supportive from statistical, vantage points. Mike Lade, ESPN has got him for 969. I think that's fair. I mean, I think 800.5 is rather bearish. And I am quite bullish on the over. So, over and over again. Ted McMillan, 800.5 receiving yards at a minus 115 juice. All right, let's go with a team lean now. Over or under on the Carolina Panthers, 6.5 wins this upcoming season. Minus 115 on the over, minus 115 on the under.
All right, I would only bet the over. I'm not going to bet the over on the Panthers. I feel like they might be kind of a trendy team, but I think this is, at worst, a 7-8 win football team. The only thing that scares me, Brad, is that defense, that run defense, that pass defense. Outside the top 25, the worst in the league, pretty much in both metric. What I like, though, all the young studs on the offensive side of the ball, new coaching staff now year 2, and they play the 7th easiest schedule in the league, right behind Jacksonville, right in front of Tennessee. So I think this is a 7-8 win team. I don't think they're a playoff team. I don't think they win double-digit games, but I think they could win at least 7 games. I think they have to.
Yeah, they're going to win 7 games. I'm going to take the over as well. Mike Clay is kind of projected for 6.7 wins, so barely an over for him. However, he only gives his franchise a 50% win probability in a whopping 2 games. I think they're going to exceed expectations. They're number 23 last season in per play EPA offense. I think they're going to be a top 20 contributor in that category this year. They were dead last in EPA per play defense. They got only one direction to go, and that's up.
Yeah.
But, they're still going to be probably bottom 10 in that category. In the draft, they went wide receiver, of course, with Ted McMillan. Then back-to-back defensive ends. I think they could be, again, a fringe top 20 defense. If they're a fringe top 20 defense with this offense ascending, yeah, they're going to win 7, 8, maybe as many as 9 games. So I like
Yeah.
the Carolina Panthers to cash the over there on 6.5 wins at a minus 115 juice there at BetMGM. All right, give me an update real quick in the NBA. 119-112 Cavs over the Pacers, under a minute to go. Cleveland putting the finishing touches on this, and we got to step aside. And when we come back here on BetMGM tonight, we're going to review our cards. Stick around. This is BetMGM tonight on the BetMGM Network.